Welcome back to the channel. This is episode 2 on my mini R56 JCW. As you saw in the last video, I have done pretty much all my exterior styling now and fitted those lovely coilovers and those wheel spacers. I've got rear adjustable arms to fit to the car so that I can get the alignment sorted so it is spot on and get it in for that MOT so I can then fit that downpipe and then get it in for a remap as well. I've taken the car for a little drive already. Although the alignment is not quite right at this moment in time, it still handles really well with these BC Racing coilovers on. I cannot wait to get that set up now properly and the ride height all dialed in as well. So you join me from inside of the car. I have had the car dropped off this morning at Coombe Workshop, just on the way to Tewkesbury, so not too far from me. James there has done a very good job at setting up the ride height for me and doing a fast road alignment. Could have gone over -2 on the front. We've settled on -1.5, so it still gives a good combination of fast road, like I say. And then if I do go on a track day, it's still going to help with that. It'll still be pretty good. The ride height is perfect now as well. I'll do an exterior shot view in a second just so you can see it, but he's leveled it lovely. So here is the car now, fully aligned and ride height set. The front is slightly higher than I did have it, but now it works perfectly. Like I say, no more speed bump scraping unless they're monsters, but the back and front are just perfectly level and it sits and looks really nice now. The car is also booked in for its MOT and a brake fluid change because it has come up on the dash. Although it's had a service this year at the start of the year, it just must have been out in terms of times. So then we can get the car back in the unit and then I can start doing the exhaust and then maybe a few other little bits. So the MOT is done and it has passed, which, well, I didn't have any doubts really because this thing's pretty damn clean for its age. So now it is time to fit that new exhaust downpipe with that sports cat in it, with a few extra little supporting modifications being different spark plugs and an air filter. I could effectively go for a stage 2, add a bit more boost, and it will make a little bit more power than your conventional just flash of the remap on a stage 1. Any car could go and do it with a turbo and get good gains from it. So this car will have a little bit more power than I intended originally. So I've gone with the NGK laser iridiums. So these are a different heat rating, which are used on a lot of the minis now once they are mapped. So we got those ready to go. And then also a pipe across panel filter. So this will just fit in the OEM JCW airbox. Marginal gains, but for the price you get a bit better airflow through it. And obviously it's a little bit better maintenance wise. You can just clean this and re-oil it compared to your standard paper ones, which would be a replacement item, just chucking them away and going new. I'm not expecting the downpipe to be too much louder than the stock cat one because it still has a smaller cat in it. But for a geeky test, and it's not an official controlled environment, but I'm going to set the microphone with my phone on a decibel reader at the back of the car, and then I'll compare before and after. I don't want it to be too much louder, but I'm just interested to know how much louder, if any, over the stock. So I got the decibel reading app set a meter away from the exhaust pipe. So this is the standard car. It is warm, so it's not a cold start. I'll let it idle and take a reading, and then I'll hold it at maybe, I don't know, 2,000 RPM, 2,500 RPM for a little bit, and then we'll compare later on. Okay, so that was in sport mode with a warm car, idle, then held at around 2,000 RPM. So we got a maximum of 99.7 apparently, and an average of 95. So interesting. I know track days, some of them are like 98 decibels, aren't they? So we'll see how that compares. And obviously this is just a free app, so it's not a proper fancy calibrated unit. So whilst I let the car cool down, I'm going to go ahead, lift the bonnet up and do the air filter and the spark plugs first. Then hopefully the downpipe will be a little bit cooler to handle and I can start taking a look at it. I'm hoping there's no seized bolts, but I'm mentally preparing myself for that because it is a standard system and it's been on there since day one. So these are my core packs here. So I'm guessing I've not taken one of these off before, but like that, and then I was a little bit concerned then about the spark plugs because they look like they're multi-sided down there and I don't have too many different plug sockets. However, I have got the right one. So it's a very narrow 14mm multi-sided, and it is spot on. So yeah, that's lucky, otherwise I would have been in a little bit of a sticky situation then and I'd have to buy a new one. So that is all 4 plugs out, and like I say, they are like new, so they were replaced. A Champion part, so I'm guessing that's a genuine OEM BMW one. They've only been in there just under a year, so yeah. Coils were all good, they came out nice and easy, no signs of corrosion and no broken connectors as well, so that is very good news. So a quick comparison between the original plug, so that is the Champion original BMW one, multi-sided 14mm socket with a single electrode on the top, compared to the new NGK that I'm going to fit, where it's just a conventional socket flank side, not the multi-point. Not that you're going to be able to pick it up on the camera, I don't think, but it's got a slightly thinner ceramic edge and a slightly thinner tip as well compared to this one. Don't think the camera's going to get the focal point on it. But obviously we're fitting these, they're recommended for mapped minis, so let's get these in the car. And also the new NGK plugs are a 5/8 socket, whereas like I say, the last ones were a 14mm, so a little difference there. Don't get caught out, if you've got a mini you'll need both sockets. So next up is replacing this air filter. Doesn't look too bad of a job. Couple of Torx 25s along here, maybe a couple of cable clips to get undone, and maybe disconnecting this mass airflow sensor. But let's give it a go. So this is the stock filter cleaner, so a few bits in it already. This is fairly new as well, it was replaced at the same time as the spark plugs. Now when you look at my new unit, the pipe across filter, it's a lot shallower in terms of its depth in construction, so this should help with the airflow. Much nicer unit as well, proper sturdy bit of kit compared to this wavy old thing. So a perfect fit, just literally sits in. It's exactly the same dimensions as the original, as you'd expect. Proper quality bit of kit that. So on reflection, 3 Torx 25s across there. Lift this hose out of the connection piece there. Lift that bit of the harness out of that cable there. And at the back you've just got 3 tangs that go into rubber guides. So once those are out, those are disconnected, just pull it forward to disengage, lift out, replace the filter, set it back down, making sure those are all in, pushing it forwards, and then you'll line up your T25s along there and just sit them down, put those in the guides, and you're done. So now that the spark plugs have been replaced and that new air filter is in, just going to fire it up and make sure we haven't got any misfires, so I know that all the coils are connected and we've got no wiring issues basically. And then I'll start tackling this exhaust downpipe. Perfect, no misfire, running on all 4, smooth as butter. In regards to the exhaust then, I've got to get this heat shield off. Fingers crossed these bolts are going to come out, but they don't look that good a condition, so hopefully they don't snap off, but yeah, we'll tackle those. Then I'm going to disconnect the lambda sensor, so this sensor on the top of the exhaust downpipe, from there because it's nice and easy. And once again, hopefully that will unscrew. The heat shield off and the top lambda sensor or oxygen sensor out. So it looks like I've got to undo the 3 bolts here on the exhaust downpipe, and then right down the bottom is a lower lambda sensor or lower oxygen sensor, and it looks like routing wise the connector is just inside there. I'm gonna have to jack the front of the car up and try and get underneath it as well to disconnect the downpipe from the center section of the exhaust. So the car is jacked up on the front. If we get underneath the car now, So here is the downpipe clamp. It's just got a bolt through here. And then we have a lambda sensor here, like I say, and the connector's right at the top. So I'll have a go at tackling that. This does have quite a big heat shield around the cat itself. So it looks like I'm gonna have to get that off as well to get the clearance to get this down and out. I don't know whether it goes through the top or out the bottom. I'm gonna have to work that out. Doesn't look like it has enough room off the exhaust stud, unfortunately, to get past that heat shield, which is rather annoying. So that is the downpipe off. A little bit of a fiddle. I had to undo the heat shield bolts in the end, which are these ones here for that heat shield there, which cocoons the catalytic converter, stopping the heat from hitting the fans, as you'd expect, because this is only plastic here. It just meant with the sheer size, the diameter wise of that cat, it was a wiggle. We shouldn't have a problem with a new one, because look at the difference in terms of that little tiny catalytic converter in there compared to the big OEM one there. So I'll switch over the clamp, which will go around the bottom. We've got a new upper and lower gasket there to fit, and then let's get this back on. Exciting. Not much of a weight saving. I thought this would be quite heavy, but actually realistically that is very light. So a couple of bits saved, but the main factor of this is flow, because that's got a lot less restriction in compared to that bad boy. So that is the cover on, all the wiring done, and like I say, upper and lower heat shields on in the original placing, so it's quite nice, stealthy. You wouldn't know there's a variation of a downpipe there. So now it is time to start this thing up and see what it sounds like. I cannot wait to hear if there's a little bit of an improvement. Okay, so same as the last test, a meter away from the exhaust. It's a little bit windier now, but I'm guessing that won't make too much of a difference. So 99 decibels, so exactly the same. Well, in fact, it said 0.7, I think it was, on the original one.
5 minutes later.
It's dyno day, let's go. Snack sorted, good old steak bake. Momentum is in the car, let's get to the dyno. Yeah, don't worry, that's great. So we are down at Performance Remap in Gloucester. I've been to Chris a couple of times now, the owner. The car's just going on the dyno now, setting up, strapping it down, get it warm. Then he's going to do a couple of normal runs, just see what the power is at the moment and make sure everything's all right, before then going into doing the remapping. Absolute fail. The car is too low on the front for the front straps, so it's going to have to be raised. So we are back for day 2. I've raised the suspension up. Let's hope this gets on the dyno. So the stock power for this car is quoted at 211 horsepower. Let's see what it's actually pulling. So the stock run is done, 214 brake horsepower. So quoted 211 with the bits, it's actually done all right.
Hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right.
So to put it into concept, the car is supposed to be now making power. We started putting new files onto the ECU and it was saying it was all fine. However, the car just wasn't increasing in horsepower. No fault codes, the car was running absolutely fine, but like I say, every time we tried different file types, increasing the boost, it just wasn't responding to it. So at this point, I actually took the car away again and we did a bit of head scratching, and then Chris called me back in for the 3rd time. This time, it went a little bit better. Well, hey, at last we have made more power. So, wicked news. After hours and different tools, we finally made power. So we've got 238 horsepower now on just a stage 1. I'm going to go away, come back again in a couple of weeks hopefully, once he's sussed out, looked at logs, seen what's going on, and then we'll try and increase more power then. But for now, at least we know it's got more power and it's not the car. There has been one negative with the car. After driving it daily for almost 2 weeks, the suspension is a little bit noisy. Whilst the car was in for the ride height adjustment and the setup for the alignment, I did get them to just run over and check everything that I had done. I was confident that I hadn't done anything wrong, and they have confirmed that. But he believes also it's one of the 2 little bearings on the top part of the spring strut assembly that may be worn. So over small bumps and sort of road imperfections, the car does make a lot of chattering and knocking noises, almost like a worn out drop link. So unfortunately I am going to have to get the suspension out and then inspect those and then replace the bearings. Maybe just the one type, or it might be both at the same time. Apart from the suspension making some knocking noises, this car is really, really good. It makes just enough noise. It's not too asbo, but it gives an exciting exhaust note and induction noise now. With the new suspension on it, if I'm honest, it doesn't feel much different to stock. It's definitely softer because I found it was quite crashy, the standard suspension. So this is a lot better in terms of ride quality around town, over speed bumps. However, on the track or pushing this car harder is where this suspension definitely will come into its own. So that is going to be the end of this video. Brief summary then. Well, the Mini is doing all right. It's not where we need to be. In the new year, we'll get that sorted with the remap finally sorted. I bloody hope so. I will get the suspension off just to check those bearings and replace them, because the knocking noise, well, it's just a little bit annoying for me driving it daily at the moment, because I know it could be much better. So that will get done in January as well. And in regards to the Volvo, it is behind me now, as you can see. My focus was solely on that Mini, getting those modifications done and getting it up to a standard where I was happy. And now we're pretty much there. I am on the Volvo, and it has got an issue. It hasn't been the easiest job so far, but little nibbles at it. You will see the progress video on the Volvo in the new year, so stay tuned to that. I want to say a massive thank you for watching my videos this year. Whether you're new to the channel or you're a long-term subscriber, it hasn't been easy. I thought it'd pick up a little bit better, but we will keep on going into 25, and there'll be some very exciting stuff going on. I hope to do a lot more videos, a bit more consistency, and the quality of the video hopefully being as good or better. Enjoy your time off over the new year with family and friends, and I'll catch you in the next one.